This is I Should Be Writing, Season 22, Episode 17.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi there, welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for wannabe fiction writers. It's been going on since 2025. In fact, this weekend, August 9th, is the birthday of I Should Be Writing. It'll turn 21. So this is me talking about writing career and helping you get through it, or to it. Didn't mean for that to rhyme, but we stream weekly on Twitch, Thursday afternoons, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And question from chat, am I heading to Worldcon in a couple of weeks? Yes, I am. I will be going to Worldcon. I've got programming, I think, on Thursday all weekend. I've got 7 things. If you go to patreon.com/mightymur, you'll see my free newsletter as the latest post, and I've got my schedule up there. But I've got a reading, I've got a coffee clutch, except they're calling it a table talk now, and a couple of panels. One panel I'm doing with Kieran Gillian, who I'm a big fan of. I've done panels with him before. It's like no big deal. I've gotten to where I'm pretty cool around other authors, even if I'm fans of them, because it's like, well, that's kind of my job too. But then when someone does something I don't do, like game writing or comics writing or acting or whatever, I still can turn into a complete goober fangirl. So I'll be on a panel with Kieran, and then I'll be on another panel with Will Wheaton. And so, just pray for me, y'all, because I don't know how I'm going to keep my cool. It's going to be hard. What is a table talk exactly? It's funny. It's coffee clutch, which is what it used to be called, which also made no sense because I think I attended one coffee clutch where they actually gave you coffee. But a table talk is where you get to sit at a table, a big round table of about 12 seats, and sit with someone and talk to them. So it's like a panel, only it's a very small room and it's more interactive where you can discuss things and ask about anything. What you do is you go find where the table talk sign up is, and you find the author you want to sign up for, and you put your name on the list. And if they're very popular, they'll probably have a wait list, so you'll want to get in there early. Table talk is a lot like a reading for me personally, because I have been to readings that have been full. I've had signing lines that have been long, and I've had table talks with a wait list. I have also had readings that have been mostly empty, no signing line, and empty table talks. And this has not gone in this has not been steady like through my career. Like I could have, a couple of years ago, I had really long signing line, and then I signed maybe 2 or 3 things at the last con I went to. I don't know what's going to happen. Luckily, I've stopped having my ego attached to it, so I don't really get disappointed. I don't mind when no one shows up. I know when people go to cons, they're there for many different reasons. I don't get my ego all tied up in a wad, but I'm realistic when it comes to, okay, you want me to do what? For how long? With nobody there. But anyway, yes, I'm going to Worldcon. I'm very much looking forward to it. Going to see some old friends. Ursula Vernon, T. Kingfisher, is the Toastmaster, which is terrifying for me because I'm her friend, and I've known many people. People get very touchy about the Hugos, almost always rightly so. because some people don't treat it professionally. Some people ramble too much. Some people don't think it's important to learn the pronunciation of people's names, things like that. My brain always wants to take everything I have to do on my to-do list and inflate it to be scary. So when I'm finishing a book, I'm thinking I'll be able to focus on everything else because I'll have the book done and I can relax and just take on this other stuff. And I won't have anything stressing me out. So when I'm done with the book, my brain looks at the other things I have to do, which is not that much compared to writing a book. And then it's like, oh my God, I have so much to do. And I'm like, I don't necessarily. This is workable. But getting my brain in shape to actually do it has been the irritating thing. But I did finish the story I started last week. It's a first draft, I think it needs some work, but I'm pretty happy with it. I did what I wanted to get done. I don't write short very often, so that's why I'm very hesitant about it. You are always my first visit when my life settles down to get me to start thinking about writing. Thank you, Seed. Any good tips on stepping into a manuscript after a long break? Okay, so, yes. First, read it. If the draft is unfinished, you need to read it. Second, if you don't know where you were going, and I'm speaking this 100% from experience. You may not be experiencing these things, but this is what I've experienced. If you pick it up and you read it and you don't know where you were going, that's okay. Remember, this is not set in stone. It's not even set in your mind, clearly. So if you go in another direction and you know it wasn't the one you initially intended on, it doesn't matter because it's your book or your project. So if you can't remember where you were going with it, choose something else. No one's going to know. In my first book, I ended a chapter with someone knocking at the door, and life and crap got in the way. I had a toddler at the time, and I remember I picked up the book like a couple of months later, and I'm like, I have no idea who's at the door. No clue. Didn't know who was at the door, didn't know what they were there to say, didn't know what would take the story. No clue. So be a little kind to yourself. If you still can't get into it, don't be afraid to start something new. I think one of the things younger or beginning writers don't allow themselves is you can put down a project and come back to it. No one's going to say, you have to finish this story now or never again. Just if it's not working for you, put it down and try something else. Don't fall into the trap of anytime something gets hard, putting it down and starting something new. That's a different situation. But I'm saying if you're going back to something you haven't been looking at in a while and you feel you can't get into it, then just put it down. Start something else. You'll get your brain moving creatively, and then you'll be able to maybe go back to where you wanted to go with the first project. But remember that the goal is to write. If you are too hard on yourself about the first project, if you are confused about the first project and let that slow you down, none of that is good. So pick up the project, read it. If you knew where you were going, then write. If you didn't know where you're going, guess. And if you really don't know, put it down and start something new. Underpope asks, how do I learn how to write exciting and adrenaline-fueled action scenes? Okay, well, here's the deal. This is something I still struggle with. Not the action scenes, but any scene that evokes an emotion, like excitement or sexual energy or tension or mystery. That's key. First, remember that you know what's going on. You know what's going to happen. And writing is slower than reading. When you're writing the scene, it's crawling along. You may stop, rethink an earlier word, decide to let spell check fix the time you misspelled unimportant, and then you get back to it. And you are experiencing the scene at a very slow rate, and you don't think about the fact that someone who doesn't know what's going to happen will be reading this at a different speed. So you can't really be hard on yourself for that. Secondly, I always forget to do this, I think, because I like to read just to enjoy reading, and I usually don't read with the intent on learning. The learning happens, back brain, I'm sure. I think whenever I come up with how do I do this scene, I forget the obvious thing, which is go find someone else who did it and see how it worked. I remember the first time I had to write a book 2. It was a Ghost Train to New Orleans. I did not know how to sum everything up in the first chapter. And so I picked up Carrie Vaughn's Kitty book number 2. She's got a series of werewolf DJ books, and I really was enjoying them at the time. So I picked up book 2 specifically to read through and mark what she told at the beginning of the chapter that was from the previous book and what she told to set up the new book and how that worked. So you can also do that. Just check out another book that you know when you read it, it excited you. If I need to remember that one of the best tense scenes I've ever read was in China Miéville's The Scar, when The Scar is about a city of ships that is trying to pull through, like basically make a big hole in reality to pull through a sea monster big enough to pull the city of ships. So they'll get to wander around. How they planned on steering it, I don't remember. But the most tense scene was something was wrong with the fish, so they sent somebody down in a diving bell. So it's dark, it's claustrophobic, they're trying to figure out what's going on, and I remember being so tense in that scene, reading it. See what others have done, see what has created an emotion in you. I mean, I feel like I'm always rereading some Stephen King book. It's like my comfort read. But there's some scenes where he'll go into the details. And I don't know if it's for pacing or if it's for backstory building or what, but somebody crawling through a basement window and going into an unknown house. It's not even haunted. It's like there's nothing, you don't even anticipate something scary happening. You just know it's the normal tension of breaking into someone's house. He goes at it at a detail that I never think to. And I knew if I did it, I'd be thinking, this is boring. I want to get to the fun stuff. But King knows to lay it out. And that I'm going to be reading it at a different speed. Look to what books you like have done. And then I want to say the book is called Write the Fight Right. That should help you on some action stuff. And of course, if you're doing sword fighting, as you say you are, make sure you get the language correct regarding the sword, its weight, single blade, or is it sharp on both sides, all that stuff, because someone will point their fingers if you get it wrong. Thank you, Kids Are Asleep. AlanBaxter.com.au. Yeah, my book's Write Fight. That's WRITE. I'll put a link in the show notes if you're listening to this later. Speaking of books about craft, I am reading Page 1 to Done by Jessica Brody. I'm getting into that now. And she's a big fan of a lot of early writing, and not even outlining, just making sure you understand your own world building, your own characters, your own conflicts before you start writing. When you start writing, you remember that all first drafts are terrible. So you just let yourself go. Which, allow yourself to write terrible first drafts is a commonly used piece of advice that I think we all need to hear all the time. Because I still judge myself with my first drafts. I tried really hard to not do that. Kids Are Asleep says there's also this one from Marie Brennan, writing fight scenes. So I'll put that link in the show notes as well. Thank you, Valerie. I read my chapter 1 and think it's amazing. I read chapter 20 and think it's trash. That is possibly because you spent more time thinking about chapter 1. And then by the time you got to chapter 20, you had a flow going. But you didn't work that hard on it as you did chapter 1 to set everything up. Or else maybe you should just allow yourself to finish it and then look at the whole thing as one big thing to edit. The 50% mark is where I often get the bad feels. Yeah. I just get a lot of questioning. So much questioning. I think the 50% mark is when you get deep enough in going, if I go further, then I'm really committing to this. And if it's not good, then that's just even more wasted time. Whereas if you turn around now, it's probably okay. You can fix it. What else was I? Oh, I was going to talk about notebooks. I have a stupid problem. And I know it's stupid, and I still have it. So I have a lot of notebooks. Every writer does, I know. But the thing is, I can't settle on which ones to use when. Because I have done the irresponsible thing and purchased several good holders. Good notebook covers. Like this is the Roterfaden Taschenbegleiter. And I love it. It's great. It's just like you spend money on the actual folder and then you just buy inexpensive notebooks to put inside. But then ideally I would use that for everything because I've got a number of notebooks. I can have one for my, diary, my planner, and then one for anything else. But I also want to keep a small one in my purse. So I've got a small traveler's cover that I put little notebooks in so I can keep that in my purse when I need it. And then talked about this a couple of years ago when Grant Baciocco did a YouTube video on the creative journal that Jim Henson kept. And I'm thinking, oh, I'll do one of them too. And so that's the third one. The fourth one is the 5-year diary that I bought and that's just designed so you just write a couple of words down for every year, for every day and every year. And then you start, after you're done in December, you start at the beginning again and go down to the next year. And now I'm on year 3, and it's really interesting to see what was happening on this day years ago. I think the biggest problem is that, except maybe the creativity journal, all of these need to be different notebooks. I can't carry around my 5-year notebook that sits by my bed, and I can't fit the Roterfaden Taschenbegleiter in my purse because it's huge. Even as I'm trying to condense my notes, because my notes are everywhere. I want to write something down. I find a piece of paper. I don't get my notebook. I just find the nearest piece of paper so I can write it down. But then I just thought, these notebooks have different uses. So how do I use them all, or how do I condense them? I don't know. I don't know the answer. And it feels kind of dumb because it feels like this is a very easy problem. But I don't know what the answer is. So I guess it's not an easy problem to fix. I have like 3 notebooks that are labeled the edit notes, my latest book that I just edited. 3. And they're not full. I just picked up one and thought, this is going to be the edit notebook, and then forgot or lost it. I don't know. So I picked up another one and said, this one. And still most of the notes are on pieces of legal paper that I tore out. So it's just, I've gone past the problem that most people have of, well, I can't make the journal pretty, so I don't want to write in it. I've gone past that. I've mastered that problem. But I still have problems figuring out how to use certain things and when. I just stopped getting the Hobonichi Planner because it had so many different layouts in one planner, so many different layouts for your month and year and days, that I'm like, okay, I'm using this for one thing and I'm using this one for my everyday, but then I've got these 2 over here. What am I supposed to do with them? And then I feel like I'm copying everything from the same thing from calendar to calendar in the same book. And I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to do it either. And the worst thing is, I tried to look up guidance on how people set up their Hobonichi planners or whatever, and what they use all the things for. And all they want to show me is ways they've made them pretty. And while that's annoying, what it tells me is, oh, I might be the only person who struggles with what to do with these pages, because people either use them or they don't. There's no wrong way to do it. I think the only wrong way to do it is try to start something new and then forget about it, which is what I usually do. That's my notebook problem. I'm not proud. I'm just saying what it is. And since I did not have a topic, I'm going to bring up the AI thing anyway. because I have a theory. I have not read it yet, but I read Chuck Wendig's takedown, and I've seen a couple of videos. I'm not a member of the HWA, so the Horror Writers Association. So, yesterday, I think, their newsletter came out, and within the newsletter, not from the president of HWA, but someone from the board, the angle they took was strange, though. First, they had an essay basically saying, stop being mean to me about AI. It was called Gatekeepers. And I'm like, what gate is being kept? Gatekeepers is usually a term people use when they talk about editors and agents only allowing certain people to publish, which is not that big of a deal now because anybody can publish. Self-pub is huge. Or they can say it's accomplished authors don't give time or mentorship or help or even just like an invitation to hang out to newer writers. That's another gatekeeping, although that's often called pulling the ladder up behind you, but I think I'm mixing my metaphors here. So I don't know what gate is being kept and by whom, but this person was angry that authors are pissed about AI. And all of her arguments were kind of like, you don't mind when somebody brushes up against you in a grocery store, so why would you mind if I shoot you? It's like, or why would you mind if I shoot you? That kind of mentality of, and people talk about how the data centers are literally draining lakes. And we got one turned down, thank goodness, that was going to take more energy than the nearby town it was bordered on. But this person's saying, well, we all drive gas guzzlers and we've done horrible things to the planet already. So why complain about the data centers? And I remember somebody posting clips of people like Sandra Bullock. I want to say there was another female actor who was trying to say AI is here to stay, so we have to be have to get on board. And that reminded me of all the famous people who were getting really into NFTs. And I realized it was because they bought them. Of course they want NFTs to be big. I can't remember if she actually addressed the fact that in order to allow the AI to make stories, they had to steal our books and feed it to them. And these people have been on record of saying they stole the books because they didn't want to have to pay for them. And when you're a tech bro, that's okay. It's like when you're a poor person and you steal something, you get thrown in jail. If you're a rich person and you steal something, it's called insider trading and you usually can get off. It's the fact that these tech bros who are getting some pretty big investors, I think they're the ones who are going, we have to use this. They told you AI was going to change the world and get you lots of money and fix this and tweak that and be all awesome. And you fell for it and you spent money on it. And now you're saying, God, please use it somewhere. When I hear people say that, that's what I think they're doing when they start defending it and saying it's here to stay. From chat, we have Safira Gyron, was the writer, used to be a trustee for HWA and has now been removed from that role. So I guess that caught on. Seat says, I work in IT field. Even the places where they make us use AI, it is awful. Wow. Yeah. Seat says, AI is a weird topic. Personally, I think there's no situation where AI isn't a net negative to society. And even the fields people think it's okay. Yeah, we've all got, I think everybody has a different level of what large language model they think is okay. But I'm fairly sure that most people, except for the wealthy and people who want to be creative but don't want to put in the work, think that using it creatively is terrible. And we have to keep saying it. And I think whenever anybody challenges us on, starting out with they stole from me personally, is a good start. I had somebody pitch the CEO of a company that's doing like AI tools for writers. They want to be on my show. I did not answer them. It's just baffling. I don't know. They stole from me personally is the only thing that's come up close to penetrating the pro AI shields of some people I know. Yeah. Well, they did. I am fully in on that class action lawsuit. But what gets me is that they stole them. They have to pay up to only a percentage of what they stole, but they still get to use it. You know, that damage has been done. So the damage it's going to do to my career, even beyond the $3,000 per book the judge says we get, it's already affecting our lives much more than just that. Can't wait to get taxed on whatever fraction of the settlement reaches me eventually. Yeah. AI is literally deteriorating students' ability to think critically in some studies. Yes, I've heard that too. If you don't problem solve, your brain just, as they say on The Good Place, gets smoother. AI's tendency to be confidently wrong is insidious. There's a guy I've seen on Instagram who just asks AI to do stupid stuff and watches it flail around. And that gives me life. It's nice to hear that it's just terrible. Kids Are Asleep says it is like they stole a bunch of cars, chopped them up, made new cars, then opened a car dealership, and then when they got sued about it, they don't have to close the dealership, just pay the stolen car owners a few dollars. Yeah. I saw a cartoon of somebody going to a restaurant and ordering off the menu, and then when the food comes, they're like, I made that. But as for writing, yes, I'm finishing a short story. I'm working on some novel ideas. Hopefully we'll have something to my agent by Worldcon. That's a good deadline, right? I'm going to see him at Worldcon, I hope. He lives in LA. Anybody going to Worldcon, let me know what are you hoping for? What are you looking for professionally at the con? Tell me that. Keatod says, where will the short story appear? I don't know. I have to submit it. So, and they have no obligation to buy it. So, who should go? Why? I've never been. Well, it's going to have a lot of writers and editors and agents. And it's going to have, I assume it'll have more Hollywood people because it's in LA. First time, not sure what to hope for. Okay. If you want to meet authors, if you want to, as a fan, you can do that. You can schmooze with agents and editors. I'll probably do a follow-up on my usual convention schmoozing techniques before we go. There's BarCon, which says bar, but you don't have to drink. No, I don't know who judges people for drinking because I haven't seen anybody ever mind if someone orders a non-alcoholic drink. You go to BarCon to talk to other writers, talk to editors. I mean, just a lot of people in science fiction will be there. We'll be doing panels talking about all sorts of things regarding science fiction, TV, books. Those probably will be some focus on LA or California because that's what most Worldcons do. They like to bring in some sort of local flavor regarding fandom over the years. Lee may go next year. Was in Montreal, especially since my niece is living there. Well, awesome. Yes. Science panels. Thank you, Underpope. Yes, it'll have science panels as well. I forget all the panels that I'm not involved in or want to see, but there will be science panels, art panels. There'll be talks about fandom. There'll be talks about, usually if something like Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica or Babylon 5 or something is coming up on an anniversary, there'll probably be some retrospectives of those. I'll be doing 2 live podcasts. I'll be doing a live Escape Pod and a live Ditch Diggers with Ursula. And the schedule is up and you can peruse it. That's true. Thank you. It's a good place to meet people. It's a good place to network. It's a good place to learn things. Seeing your favorite writer do a reading or meeting them after a panel is a big thrill. And meeting people who are your peers is great. That networking, you never know who among your peers is going to maybe take off, and then you'll know somebody who can take off so they can introduce you to people. And I'm not saying spend all of your friendships like they're one-on-one transactions, but networking is meeting people, being polite to them, learning about their profession, telling them about yours, and then maybe someday something good will come of that. I've been going because I enjoy the con. I enjoy being part of the World Science Fiction Society. I enjoy being part of the Hugo ceremonies, because if you are a member of Worldcon, you can vote for the Hugos. Voting. I think we can wrap it up. I appreciate you guys for asking questions and keeping me talking so I can actually have an episode. I can be found at merverse.com, which is where you can find links to all the stuff I do. I do live streaming on Twitch on Thursday afternoons at 3 p.m. Eastern Time when I talk about writing or the business sometimes. But I also do, every once in a while, I'll do a Ditch Diggers episode, which is more about the business, on Mondays at 3 p.m. with T. Kingfisher. We have not settled on a regular schedule, but we will be doing it next week. Yeah, if you want to support, you can support via Patreon at patreon.com/mightymur, where you can get access to our awesome Discord. You can get access to the 20 plus years of archives that we have. Some other stuff. I'm making up a lot of cool swag for Worldcon. I can't wait to show you guys. And but I'll be there. Apparently, you can go to the Worldcon schedule and star things now. So if you feel like it, go in there and star whatever you want to see. Like, the live escape pod or my reading. That'd be cool. I'm not sure what it does. if bigger stars mean you come up on search. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know how somebody would come across. I don't know how stars would help somebody come across my panels when they wouldn't have otherwise. But I know the star system is there because we were all told to star our own stuff. So that's a thing. But thank you guys for everything and keeping me company. Thank you for listening if you're listening later. And get to work because you should be writing. Thank you for listening to I Should Be Writing, the longest running writing podcast in existence. This episode was made possible by the Fabulous, who support the podcast via Patreon or Substack. Join the Fabulous at patreon.com/mightymur or mightymur.substack.com. Theme music provided by John Anelio. Art provided by Numbers Ninja, and podcast hosting provided by Libsyn. This episode is released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 license. You can find all of my books and podcasts at merverse.com.
I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft, but I'm sitting home watching the Doctor Who. I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.